With the work I'm doing on this case?
No, I haven't heard. I've pretty much distanced myself from the whole thing. I never even read his book. I mean, I used to really think a lot of him, and I really think it was his mother that, turned him around so badly.
Wait, would you mind if I recorded this conversation?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't really about the money. It's the way his attitude changed. They never apologized to us. It was all about the money for him ever since this happened.
When you say it was all about the money for Aaron Fisher after he was driving in the car accident and your son got badly injured, what do you mean by that?
Well, when we talked to him, I asked him I wrote that in my thing, I think. I asked him just to pay to have the scars removed from my son's face. They told us at the hospital that he could come back later and have that done. And I asked Aaron to pay for that. And he thought, like you saying, oh, you're just after my money, and Aaron's not my friend anymore, and if he was my friend, I would help him, but you guys don't want me seeing him anymore. And all we ever said was we didn't want him riding in the car with Aaron anymore after that. Any parent would have said that.
Now, was there any question that the accident was Aaron's fault?
It was most definitely his fault. He was doing about 65 and a 25.
Oh, okay.
It said in the police report that he was doing 55. Bystanders were there, told me he was doing about 70 or more. So the cops just kind of took, in between what one passenger told him, oh, we weren't going that fast. But, I mean, he almost killed my son.
All right. Now, and so after you found out, at this point you had no idea that he was involved in any sort of potential big money situation. Right. Have you ever pursued him after you found out about that and said, hey, you obviously have access to a lot more money here than we realized, or anything like that?
After he was driving around in a $40,000 Mustang, that's when I contacted him.
When was that?
I don't think it was even a year ago, maybe a year ago, but I don't think it was that long. It was right around the time when all this was coming out, and he was on with Cuomo, that guy, the interview.
Right. So his book had come out, so he probably paid for it by book money, I guess.
Right. That's what it was.
So he has money because of the book, and then so what did you say to him?
I asked him if he would pay to have Theron's scars removed that he put there. And I also told him he almost killed him, and he said, oh, I did not almost kill him, and you guys don't want me hanging out with him anymore, so he's not my friend, and I'm not giving you nothing. You can all just go to hell.
Right.
I mean, he was showing his true colors. But I believe it was his, we always loved the kid. He practically lived with us because his mother was at the bar all the time. So he was always over here at our place. He spent the night here at least 50 times, if not more, through the years. And, I mean, we loved the kid.
So you guys would have had you really wanted to pursue it, you would have had a heck of a lawsuit against him.
Oh, yes. We would have had a big lawsuit.
And let me just make sure I understand. You kind of let him off the hook because you presumed he had no money? Is that what happened?
That's exactly what it was.
And he, of course, wanted you to believe that he had no...
Right, yes. And then his mother wanted us to believe that. And I couldn't figure out all this time why he wouldn't just apologize and, why he was accepting no responsibility at all for the thing. And then later, after this started coming out, then I was like, that's why.
Now, have you ever talked to any reporters about this?
Let's see. I sent things around that same time. I sent things to local newspapers. I sent something to his book publisher and said that this was all going to come out, if they publish this book and doesn't say anything about how he almost killed my son in it, that there was going to be, I was going to try to take legal action against them. for not telling the whole story, but of course nothing ever came of that.
And did you ever get any response from anybody in the media?
Well, I contacted Chris Cuomo through online that was having the interview with him.
Right.
And I asked him to please ask him why, he's getting all this money from sympathy of other people for what happened to him, but when it comes to his victim, what he did to my son, he has no sympathy at all.
And did Cuomo ever get back to you?
No, never got back to me.
So nobody in the media ever got back to you on this story?
No, nobody ever got back to me.
Have you ever seen it reported in the media that your son was in a major accident with Aaron Fisher and that it was Aaron Fisher's fault?
It was in the local newspaper, and I have the clippings with the picture of the car. And when
but that was before Aaron Fisher became famous.
Right.
But after Aaron Fisher became famous, you've never seen it reported anywhere, have you?
No.
Do you find that amazing?
Yeah, I find it amazing, and well, I figured, the kid, he did go through a lot, and I do, like I said, I have a lot of sympathy for what he went through, but my wife and I know him very well, and we're pretty sure he lied, in court about some things to get this money too.
Now, what do you think he lied about in court?
Well, I was told, I wasn't there, but I was told that he said that he started having bedwetting problems, after this abuse began. But he was with us having bedwetting accidents here at our house long before he was 12. He was probably about 8 or 9. And so right there I know, that if that's true what was told to me, and I'm pretty sure it is.
So he testified, you heard that he testified that the bedwettings began when he was being abused by Jerry, allegedly. But you know, because you knew him well before he ever met Jerry, that the bedwettings had already begun.
That's right.
Now, did you ever think about approaching Jerry's defense attorneys with this information?
I did. I also said something to the Surgeon General. I think that's who it was. I called the police, and they told me to send it to them. I sent it to them, never heard back. I sent something to Jerry's lawyer saying, hey, I don't...
To Joe Amendola, you mean?
What's that?
To Joe Amendola, Jerry's lawyer? Is that who you sent it to?
I think that's who it was.
And Joe never got back to you?
Nope.
Was this during the trial that you sent it to him?
I think it was after.
Okay, well, wouldn't have been helpful very much after.
Right, yeah, it was around the time the book came out.
Okay, so is there anything else that you think that Aaron lied about other than the bedwettings?
Anybody around here knows what his mother is like. And like I said, he practically lived with us because she was always at the bar. She didn't care about him. That's why it went on for so long.
Now let me ask you this, though. On what are you basing? You seem to believe that Jerry Sandusky abused him. What are you basing that on?
Well, just from what I've heard, mostly what I base it on, there's some truth to it, is that there were so many kids that came out.
Okay, but let's pretend for a second. Just for pretend, okay? Let's pretend there was never any other allegation against Jerry other than Aaron Fisher, okay?
Right.
So let's just play this pretend game, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Would you have had any reason to believe anything he ever said, anything he ever did, anything that ever indicated to you that Aaron had been abused by Jerry Sandusky?
No. Because my son was with him over there one time, and I talked to my son, and he swears to me that nothing ever happened to him, and he was over at the guy's place with Aaron before.
Uh-huh.
And I was worried, and I talked to him about it a lot, and I know he's not lying to me. He said nothing ever happened, and if those other kids wouldn't have came forward, I was pretty much sure that his mother would have cooked the whole thing up and got him to go along with. I wouldn't have believed it, in other words.
Okay, well, though? You do understand, I don't know how closely you followed it, but But if Aaron is lying, or if he was manipulated by others, like his mother or his therapist who co-wrote the book, if Aaron is being manipulated into lying, the whole case is seen in a totally different light because Aaron was the cornerstone to the whole thing. Do you understand that?
Yes, I certainly do.
And so, based upon what you know about Aaron, do you think he's capable of either being manipulated into saying something that's untrue or just knowingly saying that something that's untrue?
Yeah, I think something may have got him going there in the first place, but once they saw the money coming or whatever, I believe they would have said anything to get it.
Now, are you aware that, for instance, that Aaron gave 4 different timelines for this alleged abuse, and that would it surprise you to know that the first timeline he gave and the 4th timeline he gave are completely incompatible with one another? They contradict each other?
No, it wouldn't surprise me. Not after he's acted since the accident with my son.
Now, does your son, I assume that Aaron never gave any indication to your son or to you or anyone else that something weird was going on with Jerry, did he?
No.
Make sure I understand. Aaron never gave any indication to your son or to you or to anybody else that Jerry might have been doing something weird with him, and your son had no indication that Jerry was doing anything weird. And he didn't
talk to my son about that. And I mean, like I said, Aaron was here all the time during the day, spending the night.
Okay.
And I asked my son, and he never said anything to Aaron about this guy whatsoever.
Okay, now let me ask you this, because, see, this is, I think, a classic situation where when people get the full picture of what really happens here, they tend to change their mind about what may or may not have happened. Do you know anything about Aaron's former stepfather, Eric Daniels?
No, not really. Was he in jail or something at one time? Maybe something like that.
Well, about 2 months ago, he got arrested in Georgia, along with his current wife, on 109 counts of child molestation.
Oh, my God. Nope.
All right, now, it's interesting that you say that Aaron was wetting the bed as early as 8 or 9 when he was friends with your dad. I mean, with your son. I'm sorry, your son, because that would have been in a time period in which Eric Daniels was still his stepdad.
Oh, okay.
Are you following me here?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they used that, and I see what you're saying. It was all about money, I'm pretty sure, because, I mean, the way he was my son's best friend, and then all of a sudden, he wasn't his friend anymore, wouldn't tell me he was sorry, it just showed me, I mean, he totally changed, and it really hurt us. I even contacted his mother and tried to get her to give us an apology, and she wouldn't. I said, okay, you guys never even told us we were sorry, and she was like, well, it wasn't his fault. It was an accident.
All right, well, let me ask, okay, so now let me ask you this. When Aaron Fisher first came forward with these allegations against Jerry, the high school did not believe him, or did not seem to believe him at first. And my understanding is that it was because Aaron had a reputation for making up a lot of stories. Some of them were rather fantastical. Are you familiar at all with that element of Aaron?
Well, only from what, you'd have to talk to my son. I mean, he could tell you everything, I'm sure. And we did have a reporter here once that came and talked to Aaron. I can't believe that they never came to us sooner. Who
was the reporter that talked to your son?
He was somebody from the New York. Who was that reporter from? Charlotte? What did he say? He said he was from the New York Times.
And did he ever report on it?
Not that I know of. I don't know.
Well, this was after Aaron became famous, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think so.
So somebody from the New York Times did talk to your son, but as far as you know, it never got reported.
Yeah, I would imagine something got reported, but like I said, we just weren't following it.
You weren't following it. Okay. But does your son remember anything about Aaron making up stories, or because that was his reputation, that he was almost a pathological, storyteller.
Well, I mean, he didn't have no dad. His mom was never there. I mean, I'm sure he was making up stories, to make himself feel better, So it doesn't surprise me, but I'd have to talk to my son about that.
Okay. Would your son be willing and able to talk to me about this?
Yeah, I could get him to talk to you. Okay,
let me ask you this. Now, based upon some of the things that I've told you here and filled in some of the blanks, are you starting to question whether Aaron's story about Jerry might be not fully accurate?
Well, as soon as I heard about the bedwetting thing and I knew that wasn't true, that's when I started questioning it. And the only thing that kept me from questioning it any farther is that there were other kids that came forward too. I was like, well, maybe something did happen, But if it wasn't for that, like you asked earlier, I would have never believed it.
You went to the police, you told them, hey, I think Aaron Fisher lied under oath. You told them that?
I called the state police. I told them that. And they told me I would have to contact the state general or something.
You mean the attorney general? The attorney general?
Yeah, that must have been it.
Okay, not the surgeon general like you said earlier, the attorney general. Yeah. So when did you contact the attorney general?
I sent them an email. I got on the site online and I sent them an email, told them everything that that we knew, which was pretty much what I told you, and never heard back from them.
And was this after the trial?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't know. I never knew anything at all about this until the trial, and it started coming up on TV.
Right, but you didn't know. But I assume it was after the trial that you contacted the Attorney General's office.
Yes.
Because you weren't obviously. Part of the problem here was, first of all, the trial was rather short, and second of all, it wasn't on television, so you were only relying on media reports, and this was not a big deal in the media that he had said this about the bedwetting, and so you wouldn't have known until somebody told you, I guess. How did you find out about it?
Somebody at work. It was said something that read the book, I think.
And Brian, just for the record here, can you just state your name just so that I have it here?
Yeah, my name's Brian Malk.
Okay.
I'm Theron Malk's father, and he was in the back seat of the car that Aaron Fisher crashed into a tree and almost killed him.
Hello?
Hi there. My dad said you want to talk to me. My name's Theron Malk.
Hey, Theron. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Is it okay if I record this conversation just to make sure I have a record of it?
Yep.
You sure?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. Okay, well, let's make sure can you just say your name for me so that I have a record of that?
Sure. My name is Theron Malk.
And you are the person who was in the car with Aaron Fisher when he got in a car accident, and you were rather badly injured, is that right?
Yep.
The car accident, I assume that you guys were no longer friends. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's accurate.
Okay. And how did you feel about that?
Pretty strongly, because after that, I kind of just hated the kid.
And why was that?
Mainly because I was out of school for 6 months. I lost a lot of my friends that I talked to. Everybody thought that it was pretty much my fault because from what I heard in school, we were out drinking, and that was my fault somehow.
People at school thought it was your fault?
Yeah, because from what I understand at school, we were all out drinking, and I said, oh, hey, let's go to school now, and then apparently we were all drunk in the car.
Was that true? Were you guys drinking?
No.
But how did that story get started?
Just rumors in school. People saying that it was this and it was that, and this happened, and Aaron died, Aaron died.
Aaron died?
Yeah. People saying that he died, that I died, that the other kid died, that
Who said anybody died?
Oh, just kids in school. Just random rumors.
Well, why did they think that?
Just kids, I guess. I mean,
okay.
I guess they want to know what happened, so they started spreading rumors because they thought they were right.
Okay, so then Aaron, at this point in time, you have no idea that Aaron is involved in any sort of Jerry Sandusky case or anything like that, right?
Nope.
Okay. Now, when you found out that Aaron became this famous accuser in the Jerry Sandusky case, what was your reaction to that?
Kind of shocking, really, but at the same time, I didn't really go in depth with it. I kind of stayed away.
Now, he never mentioned anything to you at all that Jerry had ever done anything weird to him, did he?
No.
Now, did you guys have the type of relationship where he would tell you about stuff?
Yeah, he told me everything, just he never told me that.
Do you find it weird that he never told you that?
I kind of think like he didn't tell me it because it was kind of like a big secret that if it got out, it happened. So
you think he didn't tell you why?
Because I feel like he's telling me because either it happened or it's just that he was trying to hide it.
Well, but would he tell you other things that happened in his life?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you had met Jerry, right?
Yeah, once.
And nothing weird happened with Jerry with you, did he? Did it?
Nope. Because it was me, Aaron, and some other kid, and we just played games and went to dinner, and then he brought us home.
Jerry did?
Yep.
Jerry brought you home?
Yeah.
But there was nothing weird that happened?
Nope.
You remember how old you were at that time?
Would have been maybe like 12.
You were about 12, so Aaron was about 14.
Yeah.
Now, apparently Aaron claims that there was bedwetting that was involved, that started when his relationship with Jerry began. Do you remember Aaron wetting the bed when he came over to your place?
Yeah, tons of times.
And when did this happen? Right as soon as you started bringing Aaron over?
Yeah. The first time he stayed, actually wet the bed.
So that would have been around when Aaron was about 10 years old, correct?
Yeah. And so he said he had surgery on his stomach that made him do that.
He told you he had surgery on his stomach that made him wet the bed?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you believe that?
He said he had a scar from it, and he showed me a scar. I thought, okay, that makes sense, I guess.
So then you don't think it had anything to do with abuse then, because it happened before he ever met Jerry, and because he told you it was because of surgery?
Yep.
So does it sound to you like Aaron lied about that?
He sounded pretty truthful. He never really lied to me, so...
No, but what I'm saying is, does it now sound like he lied if he was trying to claim that the bedwetting was related to his abuse by Jerry?
I mean, the whole Jerry thing makes a lot more sense. So I would probably guess, yeah, he lied to me about it.
Okay. Well, but just to be clear, he didn't know Jerry at this time. When he do you remember when did he ever talk to you about Jerry ever?
No, he never said anything about him. Just that he was his coach.
So you knew he was friends with Jerry, but it was never a big topic of conversation.
Yeah, it was never a big topic of conversation.
Did he ever say anything nice about Jerry?
Nope, he never really talked about him. Never
talked about him, just that he was his coach.
Yep, that was about it.
Okay. Did he ever talk about? Did he go to Penn State games? Do you remember anything like that?
Maybe. I think he went with his grandpa, but that was about it.
Okay. Now, when the allegations first happened, or first came up, the high school, Central Mountain High School, did you go to Central Mountain High School, by the way?
Yep.
Central Mountain High School didn't seem to really believe Aaron at first. And it's my understanding, do you know anything about that, about the high school not believing him at first? Do you know anything about that?
I wasn't in school when that actually took place. I was in cyber school.
Okay. But my understanding is that there was this belief among a lot of people that Aaron had this ability to make up stories, that he was a storyteller. Is that accurate? That was the perception of Aaron?
Yeah, most definitely.
Tell me about that. Why was that the perception of Aaron, that he was a storyteller?
Like, around women, he always made up stories about doing this, doing that, so he could seem like he was brave and all this kind of shit, and that he was a big man, and that he was good at sex or good at that. So that doesn't make sense, because he would make up stories about random things, and about things he used to do, like either he used to play paintball really well, or he used to do that. So yeah, he always made stories up.
Now, when you say he made up stories about sex, he made up stories about having sex with girls?
Yeah, it's like he had like a big penis, this and that, and all this kind of stuff.
Okay, and who would he say those things to?
Just random chicks that he was trying to get in bed with.
And this was when he was how old about?
That probably whenever we were in middle school and high school.
And do you even know whether he ever had a girlfriend?
The only girlfriend that I know if he had is the one now.
Is this the one that's underage, or is this...
No, this is the one he has a kid with.
He has a kid with. But, you know, are you aware that he was also accused of having an underage relationship? Did you hear about...
I saw that on the news.
But you don't know anything about that girl?
No.
But so all this time when he's talking big about, you know, sexual exploits and having a big penis and all that, as far as you're concerned, you never even knew you never heard of him having a girlfriend, did you?
No, not really. Just heard him talking about chicks all the time.
So was he like sex obsessed with, as far as you could tell?
I would guess, yeah. He always seemed to want it, and he always used to jack off and crap at my house whenever I was asleep.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
A little bit.
You found that weird that he would be jacking off while you were in your room?
Well, he'd either be watching porn on the TV or on the computer whenever I was asleep, and I was like, what the fuck? You know, what the hell are you doing? And
what would he say?
Well, nothing. I was just no, and then like he would try to cover it up and walk away. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay. So, is it your impression that Aaron was capable of making stories up?
Yeah.
And, see, just to make sure you understand, I'm suspicious of his story. I'll be very honest with you. I'm suspicious of his story about Jerry. And I know that your dad and a lot of other people think, well, he must be telling the truth because so many of these other people have come forward and said the same thing.
Right.
But what you need to understand is a lot of those people came forward to say the same thing because Aaron was the first one. And if he's not telling the truth, then there's a chance that all of them came forward because they were just looking to get money.
Yeah.
Are you following me here?
Yeah, well, the thing I believe is Aaron was a pretty strong kid. He could have easily fended off against an old man and ran away. I mean, that's what I believe.
So you think it's kind of weird that he would claim that he had no choice in the matter here?
Yeah.
Because the time period here, Aaron wasn't a little boy. I mean, he was a teenager at this time.
Right.
And so you're saying that Aaron could have fended Jerry off if this had really happened?
Yeah, because he always talks about, like, oh, I could beat up this kid, or I could beat up that kid, and I got jumped and I still with, like, 5 guys. So it's like, well, if you get jumped by 5 guys and live, he could easily fend it off against straight up.
So do you also question whether or not the Jerry Sandusky story is true?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. Why? And why would that be?
Well, I just don't believe it because he like, what everybody says is he's done it just to get stuff. It's like, well, his mom bought him a lot of stuff. He got a job, and he was a big track star that was like the top of the school. Why would he do something like that and then let his reputation go down the hole?
Okay. So, are you saying that other people also don't believe Aaron, that know him?
Oh, there are tons of people who don't believe it. Like all my friends don't believe it.
Really?
Yeah.
Still,
anybody does.
Still to this day, most people don't believe Aaron Fisher.
Still to this day, yes. I mean, a lot of people think his book's just like a big crack because apparently his like psychologist, someone got wrote it, not him.
Right.
I mean, if someone else wrote it, that's not his word. So
how many? of Aaron's close friends, how many do you know, like personally, know their names or maybe, how to get in touch with them, who would say that Aaron is lying?
I mean, some of his friends, they might have a different side of the story, but the other person that was in the car crash was Landon Spitzer.
All right.
And after that, my friends didn't worry because he was being a total freaking douchebag.
That a New York Times reporter at one point came to talk to you about Aaron. Do you remember anything about that?
He came and asked me about the whole event that was with me, Aaron, and some other kid with the whole Sandusky and what happened.
In other words, the one time you met Jerry?
Yeah.
And was this during the trial or before the trial, or when was this?
This was long before the trial. This was long before he came out. Okay.
And all the how did the New York Times even know that you had met Jerry?
I think, I'm going to guess, either they gave the New York Times my name or his mom did. That'd be the only way.
So you think it had to be his mom, right? So the New York Times came to you and said, hey, I heard you met with Jerry Sandusky, and then you said, well, yeah, but nothing really happened, and so that was pretty much it?
Yep.
And yet nobody from the media ever asked you about the car accident.
No, it's from the person that saw the car accident.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it kind of pisses me off that, hey, he pretty much ruined my life, but how about we ask about this and not give a shit about that?
Well, I just find it amazing that so many people who know Aaron don't believe him, yet no one came forward and said that. Why do you think no one came forward and said that?
To be honest, either they were just going with the crowd, and whenever shit did break down, like, oh my God, all this shit broke down, let's feel bad for Aaron now, and whenever he has all this money, we can get it.
Okay. But so you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how certain, 10 being totally certain, how certain are you that Aaron Fisher is not telling the truth about Jerry Sandusky?
I'd say a 10.
A 10? A 10?
Yeah.
A 10?
I mean, this kid was like the one that was always lifting, always bragging about how strong he was, how no one could know how he would beat up people and no one could take advantage of him.
So he was always bragging about how no one can take advantage of him.
Yeah. I mean, it's an old man, he's nuts to run away. Like, why would he just do that?
Well, he was a track star, right? I mean... Yeah,
he was a track star. He was on the wrestling team.
Yeah. Wow. Now, does this make you... I'm just curious. How does this make you feel that this guy you met once, Jerry Sandusky, might be in prison because your friend lied about him?
Well, to me, it kind of pissed me off because he was a really famous in-state star, and then whenever whenever he was in jail, and that one guy ended up just randomly dying, and then the other guy disappeared. Oh hey, thanks to Aaron, that guy died of all this shit, and now Penn State team's kind of ruined.
But does it bother you that this guy is probably going to die in prison because of this?
Most definitely. I mean, if he's wrong, there's an old man who never did anything and is going to die in prison. Something he didn't do.